friends, Krista here. Thank you for stopping by Books and Jams. It feels a little dark in here today, but I'm just going to film anyway because this is the time that I have to film and this is the place that I sat down to film. But my lighting is a little darker than normal. I apologize for that. But here I am today to talk about the rest of the books that I read in the month of October. It is now almost a week into November and I'm ready to wrap up October and move forward. I've been moving forward. I've been reading books already in November. I have 6 books here to talk to you about. October was a bit of a smaller month than normal. I think I talked about 5 or 6 books in my mid-month wrap-up, which I will link down below. And then I have 6 more to talk about now. And one of them I pretty much wrapped up in that first half. I just wasn't quite fully done with it. So 11 books in a month is still fantastic. It's just a little bit smaller than normal for me, but I kind of like it. October was a very busy month. I had that trip that you guys now know about if you watched my vlog, where I got to meet 3 other booktube besties of mine. I just loved it. And it was just a really good month. So I have some fabulous books here to talk about. Most of these are really good, but I'm going to start with the 2 that I didn't really care for, and then I will talk about the books that I really loved. So the first one I had to read for the BookTube Spin. I participate in the BookTube Spin, which is hosted by Rick McDonnell. Everybody who wants to participate chooses a list of 20 books. They can make that list public somewhere on a blog, on their Instagram, on YouTube is where I did it. And then at the beginning of each 3 months, quarter of the year, he will spin a wheel and pick a number. And I got 2 Christian fiction for the 2 numbers that he spun. And the first one that I read was Waves of Mercy by Lynn Austen. And I was very disappointed in this book. I think I had read Lynn Austen before, and I did buddy read this with someone else who also didn't really care for it. I found myself fluctuating between bored and rolling my eyes at the over spiritualization of everything. This is a Christian fiction, which I understand there's going to be faith elements in here, but it was like beating me over the head with the preachy style of writing, and I really did not love it at all. It didn't feel realistic. It didn't feel like these conversations were very realistic. It's 1897. We follow Anna and her mom. Anna leaves with her mom to go on basically a little holiday after breaking up with her wealthy fiance. She does not want to get married because he is not allowing her to go to the church that she wants to. And that's like the straw that broke the camel's back, basically. While there, she meets this Dutch boat. He works at the hotel and he works with the boats and takes people out on sailboats and stuff. And he is studying to be a pastor. And so Anna is able to talk with him about her faith and about the Bible and about all of these questions that she has. Well, this man also has this surrogate grandmother who came with her family from the Netherlands to this part of Michigan. It takes place in Michigan. And so we learn about the religious persecution and the separatists and how they came to America. And that part was somewhat interesting. But along the way, these 2 stories are going to collide. And it did draw me in towards the end, but overall, I just was very disappointed in this. It's the type of Christian fiction that gives Christian fiction a bad name. That's what I thought. I just found the dialogue either cheesy or preachy, and the characters were unbelievable, and I just really did not care for it at all. And I think I ended up giving it 2 stars. I don't know. I did not like it. Another one that sadly I did not like, and I have a feeling this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I technically finished this in November, but it's fresh on my mind and I want to talk about it while it's fresh on my mind. And that is The House at Riverton by Kate Morton. I also gave this one 2 stars, guys. I really did not care that much for this book. Kate Morton's writing is solid. I appreciate the language that she uses. I appreciate her sentence by sentence writing ability. However, in this book, I found myself bored most of the time, and I felt like the payoff at the end, while interesting, wasn't enough to make up for hundreds of pages of being bored. I just couldn't. And I did do this as a group read with a handful of my patrons, and I think they all liked it a bit better than I did. I really didn't like it. It has a very Downton Abbey feel, very upstairs, downstairs feel. And we follow Grace, who works as a servant in this big household. And there are some secrets involving her mother, which never officially get revealed. I mean, towards the end, Grace figures a few things out, but there's never any proof given for that. There just were a lot of holes, I thought, to storylines that did not get wrapped up or did not get any kind of further conclusions. So we follow Grace as an older woman reflecting back on her life as a young serving girl in this household. And she gets connected with the 3 children who come to visit at Riverton. And she ends up becoming one of the ladies' maids of these children. And these children love their secrets. And secrets are a big part of this book. But it just... I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. Towards the end, the last 100 pages or so, the last 100 pages definitely did pick up in pace and in intensity. It's supposed to be somewhat of a gothic novel where the house is like a big part of the story. I didn't feel like the house was a big part of the story. And I just really... I just was really glad that it was over is what it comes down to. So I read it. A lot of you recommended that I read it, and now I have. And I have now read 5 Kate Morton books, The Forgotten Garden, Secret Keeper, Lake House, Clockmaker's Daughter, and now this one, House at Riverton. This is my 5th Kate Morton, and it is by far my least favorite. Even least favorite than The Clockmaker's Daughter, which I know a lot of people didn't care for. I liked this less than that one. Sad day. I have 1 Kate Morton left, and I hope I like it more than this one. Sorry for those of you who loved that one. It just wasn't the book for me. But then I loved all the rest of the books that I read. Let me talk very quickly about 1,000 Splendid Suns. I pretty much wrapped this up already in my mid-month wrap-up. I absolutely loved this book. I don't know if I gave it 4 or 5 stars now that I'm thinking about it, but I really appreciated the female friendship that is at the center of the story. I really appreciated learning about Afghan history, and it's really heavy and sad. I think I ended up with 4 stars on this one. Maybe 5. I don't know. It's powerful. It's a powerful read, but it's a difficult read. But yeah, I'm really, really glad that I read that. Unfortunately, I was doing this as an Instagram buddy read, and I missed out on the Zoom discussion about it because unfortunately my brother is in the hospital again this week. And that's why I'm trying to do this rather quickly today, because I'm headed back over there to visit with him. He's doing okay, just has some complications from his sickle cell anemia that he has. So yeah, if you think of my brother, Jordan, I appreciate your thoughts and prayers and love and all of that. But yeah, I missed out on that buddy read discussion, unfortunately, because it was on Zoom. Another fabulous buddy read that I did this month was The Pursuit of God by A.W. Tozer. I gave this book 4 stars. I read this and had a couple live discussions on my channel earlier in the month of October. I forgot to talk about this one in my mid-month wrap-up. I could have, because it was done by then. This is a super short Christian nonfiction, almost a classic, I think. And it just talks about pursuing God and the desire that we have to pursue God in our lives. I think the writing takes a little minute to get used to, but I really found it to be inspiring and had a lot of quotable moments in here and kind of some convicting things as well, and challenging moments as I read it of really wanting to make pursuing God again more of a priority in my life. I feel like I go in cycles. There are seasons where I'm very actively and intentionally having my quiet time with the Lord, and then there are times where that unfortunately is not a priority. And so this book was very convicting and challenging in those things, and I really, really appreciated it for what it was. Yeah. So I gave that one 4 stars. And then 2 5-star books I have left to talk about. One of them is a continuation of the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. This is book 4, Never Seen. Absolutely love this one. Again, I feel like Shannon Messenger just does such a fabulous job with plot and with characters. And I feel like I've said this already in previous books of hers, but I really love how each of the different characters in this book has a little arc of their own. Sophie is our main character. She's the one we follow all the way from the beginning. Actually, a lot of the characters we've seen from the beginning, But Sophie is kind of our main girl, the savior of the world type of a thing. And her character arc is really strong. But each of the side characters, and both the side characters that have been with us through different books and ones that we just met in this book, have a level of depth and interest beyond just being there to support Sophie's story. I really love that the side characters are just as important. There are like extenuating side characters that are way out on the outskirts that may not have their own arc, but any of the ones that have a big part in the story have a level of big decision that needs to get made, or a level of interest because of their relationship with different ones of our crew here. It just is so well done. So in this one, we're in this world and there's like a rebel group that is causing a lot of problems, and this group of kids that are going to fight them off. And it's a continuing story that's going on, and I was surprised. I laughed out loud. I teared up at a couple points. There was a scene at the end with one of the side characters that was just so beautiful, and it made me tear up, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I'm crying, which is not a surprise, honestly. But I just really love this series, and I can't wait to read book 5 with Amy Bowman next month. This month. It's November. I will be reading book 5 this month, called Lodestar. So that was Never Seen, book 4. And finally, the last book I'll talk about is my patron book club book of October, and that was The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I did give this book 5 stars. I loved it. This was out of the comfort zone of a handful of us in my Patreon group, and I am so glad that we took the plunge and read a ghost story. It definitely had its creepy moments, but I think Simone St. James just does a fabulous job of drawing me in, peeling back those layers little by little, revealing things to me along the way. There are 2 timelines in this one. In the past-ish kind of timeline, Viv is a drifter in a way. She's on her way to New York City, lands in Fell, New York, and somehow just stays there. Ends up getting a job at the Sundown Motel as their night shift person, and throughout her evenings discovers that things at the motel are a little bit creepy or a lot bit creepy, and there's this mystery that Viv decides she needs to investigate, until one day Viv just kind of disappears. Move ahead 30 years or so, 30 years, 20 years, 1982 to 2017, so 30, 40, move ahead almost 40 years, and now we're following Carly, who is Viv's niece. Carly never really got closure about what happened to Viv. Her mom never talked about it. And now her mom passes away, and Carly decides she needs to go find out what happened to Viv. So she starts to follow her in her footsteps, lands in Fell, New York, also gets a job working the night shift at the Sundown Motel, and also gets caught up with this mystery, the same mystery that Viv was trying to unravel. It is delightfully creepy, especially towards the beginning, but as those layers get peeled back and you start to understand more and more of what's going on, I feel like the mystery became more than the paranormal stuff. The paranormal stuff was there all the way through, don't get me wrong, but the mystery became so intriguing and so interesting, and I wanted to know what was going on, and I wasn't as creeped out as I was at the very beginning before I knew what was happening. So yeah, I thought that this was fabulous. I want to dive into Simone St. James' backlist a little bit more. I'm not super eager. Ghost stories are still not my go-to, but if I'm going to read a ghost story, I want it to be written by Simone St. James because I think she's fabulous. So this is my relatively small end of October wrap up. Here are the 6 books I finished at the end of the month and a little bit into November. But I am very pleased. I'm very pleased with my reading. I feel like it was a really good month. I would love to talk with you down in the comments. What was some of your favorite reads in the month of October? Have you read any of these? Did you have different thoughts than I did? I know I have some unpopular opinions, maybe with a couple of them there, but I would love to chat with you about it down in the comments. We can still be friends, even if we think differently about books. I promise we can still be friends. Let's chat down below. You guys know I love talking with you down there. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you supporting my channel by watching and commenting and all of the things. And I will be talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.